So we're here to tell you about BOLD, and BOLD was an idea we had, literally building opportunities for leadership development. There's your acronym. And it's, however, targeting a very specific group of people. And you'll see that if we look around the room right now, it's a pretty white bread group of people, and sadly that is the case in most of our schools. So we went about putting BOLD in place to really build leadership opportunities for people of color. I'm Susanna Yemsby, I'm the head of the Galloway School, and
my name is Katia Blunt, and I'm currently the assistant principal of early learning at the Galloway School.
And just to give you a little background on Galloway, we are about 3 miles away from here, 800 students from 3-year-olds all the way up to 12th grade. And we're going to just show you a quick video here, which we were able to put together with Damien's assistance this morning, so thank you.
Be bold.
Be bold.
Be bold and become the leader you're meant to be.
Become the leader you're meant to be.
Become the leader you're meant to be.
You are meant to be.
You are meant to be.
Unfortunately, the landscape of independent schools in the United States shows us that there are very few people of color in leadership positions, and it's my greatest hope that we can change that.
The feeling you're gonna get from being here cannot be explained through words. It has been like 100 in here. Like, it hasn't been anything less than 100 at every instance. And that's been the biggest part, just the energy of everyone and then the camaraderie.
The participants are receiving nuggets of information from other heads, from search firms, from minority placement companies, you name it, we've got it here.
BOLD is great because it specifically helps the participants glean from my 22 years experience in independent schools, and I hope that they walk out here confidently, ready to take on that next challenge.
Part of the experience at the BOLD Summit this week has been learning more about my own leadership style and about how we can position ourselves best for next opportunities. If I can position myself into more leadership roles, I can help others reach their goals.
Within the next few years, the folks that we're working with in our programs are going to be the leaders who are going to be a part of presenting at our programs or creating new ones.
I have a list now of what I need to do next, and now I have all of these people that I can call and connect with, and that's really awesome.
I feel like I'm gonna go back to my school with new eyes, and I feel like I've made some good connections here in terms of colleagues and friends.
BOLD really does give people an opportunity to think about their options in a way that they haven't done previously. So if you enjoy having fun, learning about yourself, networking with other talented, wonderful people of color, BOLD is for you. You heard one of the participants referred to learning about herself as a leader and her sort of an index of her leadership style. And it was really based in something called HBDI. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it. But what it does, it teaches you, or it tells you about yourself and how you prefer to think. So not sort of Myers-Briggs, which is behavioral, or some of these other personality tests which exist out there, but really how you prefer to think. And it's been something that I have used with my leadership team at Galloway and found it incredibly useful in terms of knowing how I connect with others. And so we were able to provide this inventory to every participant such that they go back to their schools thinking about how they fit in as part of their team. It's a really neat way of approaching your work, and I'd love to talk offline with anybody who wants to know more about HBDI.
Sprinkled throughout the week, we had different challenges and ways to have a little bit more fun with the heavy material that we were covering. And one of our most favorite activities was the group Lego challenge. And during the challenge, we put our participants in groups of 4 to 5, and their objective was to build the tallest freestanding tower possible, but they had to make a profit by doing so. So we gave them the exact number of Legos. That was fun, counting out Legos. I think we gave them like 300 pieces, and only 100 pieces were exactly the same. And so we had a worksheet for them where they each had 45 minutes, but they had to, for each minute they used to plan the Lego tower, cost them money. And then they also were having money from their fake account for actually building the process, the Lego tower. So there were some groups who decided to not use that much time on building it and instead spending all their time planning it. But it was, of course, we debriefed after, and it was interesting to see not only how they worked together, but also their strategy behind the Lego challenge. And we really thought it was important to have a little bit of fun thrown in there as well.
And actually, I was inspired by the previous school because you did a breakout box. We also took them to a breakout room, which is, so you're inside the box at that point and have to find your way out. So a similar type of thinking that goes into that. That was one of the other activities we did with them. I think it's really important to role play with people. I remember being in my first month as a principal, so not as a head of school, but as a principal, and I had a really tough conversation to have with a member of faculty who really had done something quite egregious, and I didn't know how to go about it. I'd never had a really stern performance conversation with anybody who reported into me. The HR person at the time said, "Susanna, let's sit down, we're going to practice this, and the person you're going to be chatting with is 6'5", so we need to make you seem nice and big." And we went through everything from literally how the room was laid out to how I was going to speak, to I had already printed up his resignation and I was going to shove it across the table at a given point. When it actually came to doing the meeting, it was very, very straightforward. And I'm not going to say enjoyable, it should never be enjoyable, but certainly I felt well within my abilities to do it. And so we try to replicate that by giving role play situations to these aspiring leaders so that when it does come around, they feel like they've maybe been there before. We gave them about 5 different role plays to choose from. This was the most popular, and the heads of school in the room, you can have a look at that and can figure out what you would have done in that situation. And we had them really take on different roles, and I think it really emphasized that a big part of what you do as a leader in a school is actually acting. You have to be able to get up there and put a smile on your face sometimes when you don't want to. You have to have conversations that are ugly. You may have a different one behind closed door before you actually speak with the parent coming in or whatever. So it was a really useful exercise. We got some really great footage out of it as well in terms of videos, and I think also a lot of fun had as they tried on different roles.
We now want to talk about our collaborators. And I'll begin with the bottom right-hand corner. That's why we're here today with our SAIS collaboration grant, so thank you again. ThinkShift. ThinkShift is some of you that went to the Heads of School retreat this past year in Asheville may remember that ThinkShift delivered a session on was it HBDI? Mm-hmm. Okay. And they're a consultant firm that's known for developing leaders. And so it was a perfect relationship for us to have with them. They led several sessions at the Bold Summit. One was, like Susanna said, on the HBDI instrument, but they also led a session on leadership styles and another one on examining data that you have within your schools. In the middle, we have the Ware Foundation. We received a large grant from them, and we used that mainly to fund our fellowships. So of our 22 participants, we chose 9 fellows that had just a more major role there, and we kind of went to them to be our leaders of the group, and we were able to fully fund their fellowships through the Ware Foundation. Carney Sandow and Associates, we had the president, Devereaux, there, and he served on a community panel, but we also had him lead a workshop session on resume building. And that was one of the sessions that we received the most positive feedback about, because when the participants applied for our program, we asked them to submit a resume, but they did not know that that was going to be the one that a professional was then going to look at. And some of them walked away with completely changing not only the format, but also the content of their resume. And finally, we have StrateGenius, which is a minority recruitment firm based out of California. Orpheus Crutchfield, you'll see his photo in a second. He is the president and founder of StrateGenius. We definitely recommend that you have access for your faculty of color to a minority recruitment firm. Developing that relationship with them is great. And Orpheus not only served as a mentor to our participants, but he also led a session called Your Next Path to Leadership.
Just one more thought on the fellows. The fellows, some of them are local, and so we're able to use them beyond BOLD for other purposes, and they kind of agreed to a year's worth of service for us. And so we have POCC is coming to Atlanta. It's the People of Color Conference. It's a big part of what NAIS does in the world of people of color, and so our fellows will be coming and assisting with our work there. Very fun. Just want you to take in this beautiful picture of brownness behind me. This is this year's cohort. And by the way, 22 was the designed number. We had applications from across the country. Actually, we were aiming for 20, and we fell in love with too many candidates, but it was really great.
As with any great conference or summit or workshop, you always send out an evaluation. And the first, well, not the first question, but the first open-ended question was, did you meet your personal and professional goals for BOLD? Please explain. I'll give you a minute to read this person's answer. I think the last part of that answer is so powerful. Taking intentional steps to becoming more visible in the global education community. That's exactly what we wanted to hear from our participants. And the next statement, share your experience of BOLD and why you would encourage other educators of color to participate in the program.
To the notion of remaining connected beyond BOLD, we send out a monthly reminder to the mentors, and they touch base. And each person might have slightly different things they'll be working on. I'm in touch with 4 people from my group, and so I wrote to them earlier this week, and I was asking them about, have you tightened up your resume? Have you made your connections here in LinkedIn? One person said you were going to go and shadow your head of school for a day. So I'm holding them accountable from afar in a very non-threatening role because I'm not in their school. So these connections are really powerful. And then finally, I'm hoping that everybody has people in mind that in their schools might really, really benefit from coming to BOLD next year, 7/17/17, a very memorable date, couldn't be better. But we would love to have applications from your teachers, your aspiring leaders. Believe it or not, people of color need different kinds of leadership. They have less confidence in themselves, I think, primarily because they look around and don't necessarily see a tremendous number of people in prominent positions, and therefore doubt whether they themselves will get to those roles. So they need different encouragement and different skills, much more intentional networking. And so we believe that through BOLD we can really reach a lot of these needs and launch people into great roles. Thank you all.